Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial. My name is Divine and in today's video I'm going to show us how to draft, cut and sew this beautiful dress here using an Asooke fabric. So if this is something you're interested in, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and let's get started with the tutorial for today. So this is the Asooke bundle I'm going to be using. I have my lining and I have my pattern. So to draft out my pattern, from the top of my paper here, I'm going to come down to mark out my chest line measurement of 8 inches, my apex of 10.5 inches, length under bust of 14 inches and half length of 17.5 inches. So these are the measurements I'll be working with on the screen. I'll draw a straight line. So we're going to be drafting out an enhanced princess body block for this dress. So from the half length here, I'm going to come down to mark 8 inches for my hip line. I'll draw a straight line. Next, on my shoulder line, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurements divided by 2, which is 7.5 inches. I'll mark that also on my chest line, then connect the 2 points together. After doing that, I'm going to label each of these lines: my chest line, apex, length under bust, half length, and hip line. Coming back to this armhole line here, I'm going to come down with 1 inch for the shoulder slope, measure what I have left and get the midpoint. Then go inwards with ½ inch on that midpoint. Next, I'll mark my bust measurement divided by 4. I'll mark that on my chest line. Then connect the 3 points together like so. So this is the armhole curve for the front block. Starting from the center of my paper, I'm going to go inwards to mark the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is 4 inches. So the nipple to nipple is 8. I'm going to mark 4 inches, starting from my apex all the way to the full length of my gown. So starting from the apex, this does not go all the way because this is a enhanced princess block. So from the apex all the way down, I'll mark my nipple to nipple. Then from my length under bust, I'm going to mark 1 inch on both sides of this nipple to nipple line for my dart intake. So the dart intake I'm using for this is 2.5, but here I marked 2 inches. I later corrected that. So I marked 1 inch on both sides. But when I corrected this, I marked 1 inch on the inner part and 1.5 on the outer part. So now I'll connect this point now to touch the nipple point on the apex line like so. So this apex line is the fullest part of our bust where our nipple is. Then I'll go upwards with ½ inch on that nipple point. I'll come to my armhole here, the midpoint of my armhole, and connect that point to touch the ½ inch we went up with. Then on both sides of this midpoint, I'm going to mark 1 inch on both sides. Then connect the 1 inch to touch the ½ inch on the apex line, like so. So please watch closely how I do this. Then on this third line, I'll extend out. So because I used 2 inches here, I'm going to be replacing 2 inches like so. Then connect it back to the bust measurement. So if we don't replace these 2 inches, our pattern is going to be short. We're going to be having a shortage there. Now at this point, I'm going to increase my dart intake here to 1.5 inches. So that means I use 2.5 inches for my dart intake for this measurement. So I went inwards with 1 inch, then outwards with 1.5 inches. So this is what I'm having. Now on the half length, I'm going to mark the round body measurement divided by 4. I'll measure what I have for my dart and replace it, which is 2.5. Then on my hip line, I'll measure my hip measurements divided by 4. I'll mark it, measure my dart, which is 2.5. Because we're going to cut out that dart, we need to replace it. Then I'm going to be adding 1 inch extra to this hip for ease because it is not fitted on the hip area. I'll be adding 1 inch and this is it. Now I'm going to get the full length of my dress. I'll measure the full length, which is 38 inches plus 2 inches for folding. that is 40 inches. I'll mark that. Then I'm going to measure all I have on my hip line and take it straight down to the full length of the dress. After that, I'll connect all the points together. So you can take note of how I'm placing my ruler so that the hip is not too sharp. We need to curve it out properly. Next, I'm going to mark our bust dart, and from this nipple point here, I'll go inwards with 0.25. Then come to the side and mark 1 inch on both sides of this apex line. I'll connect it like so. So this is our bust dart of 2 inches. So because we're having a bust dart of 2 inches here, the back half length is going to be short with 2 inches. Then for the neckline, I'm working with a neck width of 3 inches and a depth of 4 inches. After which, I'll connect the tip of the width to the shoulder slope, to the 1 inch like so, to get the shoulder slope. Then on the half length, I'm going to go upwards with 1.75. You can use 2 inches, you can use 1.75. This is going to be for the band on the mid-free of our skirts, of our dress. So this is the band that we're going to be attaching to our dress. Then for the pockets, I'm going to be working with going inwards from this dart here with 1 inch. So when sewing, I later made it to be ½ inch. And the width of my pocket is 5 inches by 3.5 inches. So the length is 5 inches and the width is 3.5 inches. So this is the pocket. So starting from the middle of our dress, I'm going to go inwards with 3.5. So the space between each pocket is 7 inches. I hope you understand. So that's all for the drafting of the front. I'm going to go ahead and draft out the back of our dress. The first thing I'm going to do is to come down from the top of our pattern paper here with 2 inches. I'll come down with 2 inches. Next, I'm going to mark our chest line of 8 inches. Then our half length, the front half length is 17.5 inches. So the back half length is going to be 15.5 inches. So the back length of the front of the back is shorter. The half length of the back is shorter with 2 inches. Next, I'm going to measure the front from the half length to the hip line, which is 8, and to the gown full length, which is 20.5, and to the allowance, which is 22.5. I'll mark the same thing at the back. So we need to mark what at the front, and so that we can get it accurately of what the back should be. So this is it. So the hip line to the full length of the dress, and this is what we are having. So I'll label the lines: chest line, half length, hip line, and the full length of the gown. Next, I'll mark our shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'll mark that on my chest line also, and connect the 2 points together. This is our armhole line. Then on the half length, I'm going to go inwards from the center back with ½ inch. I'll connect that ½ inch now to touch the shoulder line. This is to help eliminate excesses when we fix our zipper. Then from that half length, I'll come down with 6 inches to blend out the excesses. So this is it. I'm going to be cutting that part out. Next, on the chest line, I'll mark my bust measurement divided by 4, and I'm starting immediately from the center back, as you can see where I placed my tape. Then I'll get the midpoint of this armhole line and connect it to the bust measurement on the chest line. So this is the curve for the back. Then starting from this 0.5 inches mark, I'm going to mark our round body measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for the back dart. Then on the hip line, I'm going to mark our hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for the ease, just like we added to the front block. Then I'll measure all I have on that hip line and take it straight down, just like we did for the front. So I added 1 inch to the half length because we are having a dart at the back of our dress. Then I added 1 inch to the hip because the hip is not fitted. So by the time we sew the 1 inch on the half length, our waistline goes back to the initial waistline. Then starting from the 0.5 here, I'm going to mark our nipple to nipple, which is 4 inches. Then from that 4 inches, I'll go up with 5 inches and come down with 5 inches. That is the length of the dart for the back, 10 inches. Then on both sides of this line, I'm going to go out with ½ inch and connect it to touch the tip of this 5 inches, like so. So this is the dart for the back, and we are going to be cutting it out. So I want the back of this dress to have a princess, also a princess dart. So I'll connect it like so to the midpoint of the armhole. But this is not an enhanced princess, it is an ordinary princess for the back because there is no bust at the back. Now on the half length, now I'm going to mark ½ inch on both sides and connect it back to the side. So from the center back, I'll mark ½ inch on both sides and connect it to the side like so. Then for our neck width, I'll mark 3 inches. I'll go up with 1 inch from that 3 inches. Then connect that 1 inch to touch the shoulder tip. I like my shoulders to go up a bit with 1 inch. Then from the shoulder line here, I'm going to come down with ½ inch for the neckline of the back. So this is the neckline for the back. Now for the band, I used 1.75 at the front. I'm going to use the same 1.75 at the back. And I said you can use 2 inches depending on what you want to achieve. So this is the band for the back of our dress. I'll just highlight it. So this is the band for the back block. So I'm done with the pattern drafting of both the front and the back. What I'll do next is to go ahead and cut out this pattern. So I'll cut like so. Then I'm going to cut out from the half length. I'll separate the skirt part through the half length, but I won't be cutting out this band yet. So I'm going to label the band, but I won't be cutting it out yet. The center front up, middle to middle, up, and side front. So I won't be cutting it out yet. I'm going to cut out my lining piece first using this particular pattern, after which I'm going to cut out the band from the pattern to cut my Asooke fabric. So I'm going to be cutting my pattern this way first. Next, I will close up the bust dart and tape it down. After which I'm going to blend the sides because it's not matching up. I'll just blend it up like so. Then I'll cut out. So this is what I'm having for the upper part. So by the time I cut out the lining piece, I will then cut out the band from this pattern to cut the Asooke fabric. Then for the lower part of my dress, I'm going to be closing up this dart because this dart is not needed on our fabric. So I'll tape it down, and that is all for the cutting of the front block. So I'll set this aside now and go ahead and cut the back. So I'll cut this through the half length. We'll be eliminating this dart here and also this one here. So I'll cut it out. And cut out this one also. So I don't want the lower part of my skirt to have a dart. I don't want to sew a dart on the lower part. So I'll come to the side here and mark 1 inch and connect it back to the hip line. So with that, now we've removed the dart from the lower part of this dress, while the dart on the upper part, we are going to cut it out. So because we cannot cut out the one on the lower part, we're just going to remove it from the side. So this is the side, this is the zipper part. Then I'm going to cut the upper bodice. So this is the dart here. I'm going to label my band just like we did for the front. The side, front, side, center, back, middle to middle, and the up. Then I'll cut out my dart like so. So this is an ordinary princess because there's no bust at the back of our body, while the front is an enhanced princess. So this is what we are having for the pattern of the back. So this is my Asooke here, and my lining and my pattern. So in order for this video not to be too long, in my next video I'm going to show us how to go about the joining and cutting of the Asooke fabric, and also how to sew this dress all the way to the end. Thank you guys for watching, and bye for now.